Happy Thursday. Sharon here with another video. Okay, so great news this morning. Brittney Griner is coming home. Joe Biden actually worked out a deal for some arms dealer that's serving 25 years. He traded for her. Now, there's another gentleman, his name's Paul, and forgive me, I don't know his last name off the top of my head, and unfortunately, he didn't get home yet. But he actually, like, the reason he's being held is because he's a spy. So it's a little, they're not really willing to give him up. But the arms dealer, I guess, doesn't mean that much to them, so, but I'm not sure. But anyways, great news for everybody. Awesome news. Here I was just talking about Wendy Williams' son getting evicted and Wendy. And all of a sudden we get some great news. Now we're going to keep Paul, I don't know his last name, in our prayers and definitely keep an eye on that. But I really want to say a big shout out to the Biden administration, really. Biden handled this really good. He did. And I'm pretty happy with how he handled it. I've been following this case since the beginning. And I have been a little hard on her, maybe, at first. But I'm just so happy, and I've been praying for her for so long. I'm so happy for her and her family. I'm sure she'll do interviews. I'm sure this is going to be. And here's the thing. When she gets back on the court, it's going to be life-changing for women's basketball. I think she's going to really bring, because people are like, oh, she's a women's basketball player. I mean, not many people watch women's basketball. This could really change it, and I hope it does. And I hope they, and her partner, they're going to, she's so happy. But she's also very sad, and she actually, because that Paul didn't come home, and she's actually going to be, her and Brittany are actually going to be advocating for people around the world who are in captivity in the U.S. Evidently, there's a big group of them, so good for them. And, we're very happy that it ended up in such a good way, because she was supposedly in a horrible camp. Could you imagine? And I just kept picturing, I don't know what I kept picturing. I kept picturing, when I picture that, I just think of the different, when I would watch International Lockup. And I saw Russian prison camps, and they are brutal. And you figure if they're having cameras in for documentaries, they're going to clean things up. Some of them are absolutely horrible. But, this is an experience that's probably going to change her for her life. And she's definitely, we're going to get the story. We're going to get the full story. And I think that, I wonder who's going to do it. Do you think Oprah's going to do it? Oprah? I don't know. So we'll see who she does the interview with. Whoever gets the interview, that's a big interview. But anyways, yeah, so that's what's going on there. In regards to, and that is huge news. Absolutely huge news. Really, it's just great news. I'm going to media takeout here. So again, I'm getting all the hot topics I get and everything, and it's still the same stuff from yesterday. Shanti's. Ashanti's trying to get pregnant. So today is, Harry's, the Netflix, I'm going to actually be doing a review on it as well. I did a review. Okay, let me talk about Casey Anthony. Now, Cardi B, I watched it on Peacock. She's a very good liar, if she's lying. If she's not lying, and supposedly George actually spoke about the documentary, actually said something. She blames everything on her father. Absolutely everything. She says her father, first of all, she starts by saying her father, when she was from 8 to, I think she said 12, she was molested by her father. And they're moving on. Her brother continued to do it. And she did it with her brother, but it was kind of just the natural thing of, it was the natural course. And of course, the thing is for someone who's abused. So she actually claims that both her father and her brother abused her. The baby, God rest her soul, she said, okay, the story has changed, that the original father was not the father. We found that out, that guy. And then we found out that, but I'm sure he felt like a father, because he thought he was her father till she was 3 years old. So can you imagine how close you were? That is a father. That's a father. It's maybe not biological, but it's a father, and I'm sure he struggles. He considers himself to have lost a child. I'm that only makes sense. But anyways, she's saying that she starts the documentary off by talking about how all she ever did was lie. And she was basically she's telling you that's all she did, and she takes accountability for her lying. She said she did work at Universal Studios for many years through another agency. So she's a contractor. She was a contractor. So when they say she didn't work for us, she didn't. She didn't. She really didn't. She worked through another agency, so Disney would not have her records. The other company would. Like, I'm a contractor, and I worked for example, IBM. I didn't work for IBM. IBM was the client. I was a contractor. I worked for Manpower. And it was Manpower's client. So if you were to go to do a background check on me for IBM, it would show up that I didn't work there because I was a contractor. So that part, she's not lying on that part. I'm kind of on the fence. Not sure. I'm just not sure because I kind of, when I watched it, I'm like, I believe her. I believed her like hardcore. But I'm the kind of person that, I have compassion. I'm a little easier going. So maybe if she's I don't even know. Maybe she's just doing this all. She's definitely, if this is all lies, she's mentally ill. But all these people, the lawyer took her in. I'm telling you, when you get the information on George, you're going to be blown away. Because there's one part of it, and spoiler alert, if you didn't watch it, where they talk about he was the star witness for the prosecution, and the prosecution was putting her to death. So he was the main, and so that's a little, and like people on the, like two people that they were talking to, they were like blown away. They just announced it to them on the, her roommate, the one roommate that testified and stuff, and then the other guy that was there all the time. So they were blown away. So I was blown away at that too. You're a star witness for the prosecution to put your daughter to death. And you have to, are you trying to hide something? I mean, that is a red flag for me. That's huge. And nobody knew, like they didn't know it. Did Cindy know? And then he's on his car accident where he's got that head thing on. He's sitting there saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to Casey. I'm so sorry to our friends and family. I'm so sorry. He's apologizing. And she's saying, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. There's something, I'm here to say that it's a messed up family. And there's something there. What's there exactly? I don't think we're ever going to know. I think they'll take it to a grave. And George did speak out. So let me see what George said. I think George denied it. I'm sure he just denied it. But, I mean, there was talk during the trial. There really was. Outrage. He's aware of his daughter's allegations against him to a source, and his inner circle is really mad. So this was on November 30th on People, and he just says, no, he was going to be, he knew he was going to be thrown under the bus, but he didn't expect her to run him over so many times. So basically, she blamed her for everything, and she said that she was molested, and when she was molested, and she would start crying and stuff like that, he would put a pillow over her head. So she actually thinks that's how Kaylee was killed, with a pillow over her head. He smothered her. That's what Casey Anthony. And she talked about extensive sexual abuse by her dad for years. And she said that she suspected that George might have staged Kaylee's drowning. He's 71 now, and he's outraged and appalled. It wasn't true in 2011, and it's not true. He denies it all and will continue to deny it till his final breath. George is keeping a pretty strong exterior, but this tears him up. He still loves his daughter, and he loves his granddaughter, so this is beyond difficult for him. In the documentary, Casey gives her version of what happened. I wasn't feeling that great. I wanted to lay down. she said during the docuseries, I had her lay in the bed with me. I was awakened by my father shaking me and asking me where Kaylee was. That didn't make sense to me. She would never leave my room without telling me. I immediately started looking around in the house, and I go outside, couldn't see her. He was standing with her, she says. She was soaking wet. He handed her to me, said it was not my fault, that I caused it, but it didn't rush to call 911. I collapsed with her in my arms. She was heavy and she was cold. He takes her from me and immediately softens his tone and says, it's going to be okay. I wanted to believe him. He took her from me and he went away. And then when she was in prison, she's like, everything. He supposedly, she said all along, he's been coaxing her, saying she's okay, she's okay. So she was just going with the story. So like, follow, share. Thanks. Talk to you soon.